Hello, Holly from H2O and my sister Heather and this little gorgeous one.
Ella. She's with us today, and we're going to be talking just about health.
Health. And really like the direction for us that we know beauty's going to. And what's great, because we've been hairdressers for many years, and we were just talking to Ella and how people at all ages, Ella, because we're seeing it with young people, we're seeing with those who are pre and postmenopausal women, right? And we're just seeing such a movement with hair loss. And when you were telling us that earlier, that you feel like you're kind of dealing with that.
Recently, so I'm a sophomore in college, and recently I've been like seeing my hair kind of like weirdly falling out, which is just something that I haven't experienced quite a lot before, but a lot of my friends have actually like had the same experience as me. Right. And I really do think it's like just like such the high environment of like stress and school and trying to make new friends and drama with friend groups. Right. Like that's just like such a big thing at SMU specifically, at least what I've like experienced, and it's not.
So how do you manage that? Like how, obviously when you start to feel, we know that there's treatments that we do, right? Mm-hmm. Because we can do external treatments, but how do you even manage that? How do these girls manage that with anxiety and different things? Like, do you guys come together and talk about it? Like, how do you manage that?
Personally, I'm a very like emotional person, and I feel like I like to kind of like the way I get my anxiety out is like talking about it.
That's awesome. That's good.
With people, which I think is a good thing, because I think a lot of people like struggle to feel comfortable talking to someone about their anxiety or like what's making them uncomfortable. But I also think another thing which people don't really realize is like alone time can also like help you ease your anxiety. Right. Like a lot of people in college struggle with the idea of like being alone.
Yeah, missing out.
Yeah, and that's something that I did struggle with a lot last year, is like the fear of missing out, or like the fear that
not fitting
like,
in,
or like being alone. Like I can't be alone. What's everyone else doing right now? But like this year in college, I have my own apartment and like I have a roommate. But what I've realized is that like being by myself and like cooking dinner for myself or just like hanging out with myself is actually really healthy. That's and like
so good.
Not a bad thing.
Well, what's good is you basically are taking a pause and separating yourself. And I think, we always have two dialogues, right? Mm-hmm. We have our internal dialogue, and then we have the dialogue that gets projected to us through our environment. And I think it's really critical for your generation is to really develop that strong dialogue that you have internally.
Right.
Does that make any sense? Yeah. And of course, most of that comes up as you grow in, your parents impart that to you. But then you at a critical age where you are deciding to say, you know what, I'm gonna separate myself. Because a lot of times people, like you said, young people don't want to. So they're in this swarm of activity that is just broken. Never allows them to really get to the root of things.
And they may not necessarily even be happy doing that, but they're just kind of
they're stuck
and they don't know. There's so many people, so many of my friends that I like see that are in that like loop right now.
Yes.
And they don't kind of like, they're kind of lost and don't really know what to do. And I'm happy that like I can like step back and like look at them and be like, I'm so glad I'm not like in their position.
I love that.
It's called the crazy cycle.
Yeah.
So the crazy cycle is
like
running
drinking,
around,
going out, socializing too much, like not like focusing on school, but you can balance all of that like well and like do it well. You just need to take a step back first and like kind of realize, I think.
And be okay with not being okay in the moment.
Yeah.
To know that I'm going to remove so then I can really be okay. And what I think is great, one critical thing I think you said is talking about it. Mm-hmm. And I think what happens with a lot of people, right, you either have the group that talks too much and they're never getting to the bottom of it. It's called they're going in circles, right? We all know those people. I mean, they are age too, Heather, right? And then it's the younger group that are going in circles too, and they're on the treadmill, right? And it's wonderful that you want to talk about it, because I find that once you talk about something, it's like you expose it.
Yep.
Once a truth is exposed, then there's a call to action on that truth. Right. So now you have to endorse that truth you just talked about and said, what am I going to do
about that?
Yeah. And that's really a gift, because what you said, for you said, I know for me, I need to take a pause, separate myself. I'm enjoying cooking and having my meal and prepping and living kind of that moment, whether it be I put on music or I just have one friend over, whatever. Right?
And you're enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
Like you can't always just be doing. You just need to be comfortable with yourself. I told that to Molly. I said, Molly, you have to be comfortable with you first.
Right.
Even in the beauty industry, how can I give my client the best of me if I don't know me and I'm not comfortable with myself?
I agree with that.
But if I'm comfortable with myself and my confidence is built in not only who I am but what I do, then I automatically project that onto other people.
And I think it's also important to think about like because yes, alone time is great, and like yes, being independent is great, but I think it's also important to like think about who you're surrounding yourself with and like the people and like the energy that they give off.
Right.
Because some people can be like positive influences in your life and like give you like positive energy, but then there can also be people that like are negative and not necessarily like maybe should be a part of your life. And I think it's important to recognize that. And I also think that it's important to think about like, because I love to like kind of share my feelings with people, but you also have to consider like who you're sharing it with.
Totally.
Because some people I think can take advantage of like your weakness, maybe if they're insecure.
Your vulnerability.
Yeah.
It's like your vulnerability is great because that is freedom and vulnerability. However, don't give your vulnerability to everyone.
Yeah.
Because they won't know how to use it.
And you know what too? And I always go back to, and I've told my kids this for years, Jesus had the 3, Peter, James, and John, the 12, the 70 who he imparted a mission to, and the 120 who he visited in his spirit. So the 3, you always have that 3 that you're close to. Mm-hmm. So you tell them the 3 things, you're not telling the 12.
Right.
You're telling the 3 and the 12 things, you're not telling the 7. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so what's great, as a young person, you can always start again. Like you said, you learned it the hard way to know, okay, you know what? I'm not going to go back there again, right?
Yeah.
Because you know what? I love this saying. When people show you who they are, believe them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So sometimes we expect things out of people, but you know what? The signs were there the whole time. They weren't, I wasn't, it's like I wasn't able to give them really what, they didn't deserve it. They didn't deserve this piece of me.
Right.
So it's good that you finding this out at 20.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Because some people don't realize it. And then along the line they do. And then it's like, well, I'm too far in this friendship to where now I'm kind of stuck. I don't know. I feel like at least for me, like coming to college and not really knowing anybody, I didn't come with anybody I knew from New Orleans, and I kind of liked that. But then what I also realized is you become like friends with all these people, but you don't really know, like, I feel like you don't really know their true self until like a while along the line, and then you're like, wait.
All things you face with them.
Yeah.
And you found out like their true colors.
Yeah. And I'm like, is this really like, should I be surrounding myself around this?
Yeah.
Not.
Mm-hmm.
Well, true. My mother always tells, and again, as parents, we always say, show me who your 5 friends are and I'll show you your future. Mm-hmm. Like draws like.
Yep.
Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, we were always motivated, aggressive, and
ambitious.
Go-getters, ambitious, inspirational as kids, right? And so we knew our crowd was not going to be to the masses.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
That's
and
a good
so
thing.
Yeah.
we were attracted to those type of people who were motivated, inspirational, go-getters.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And it's just, that's a great thing that you know that. I think that's probably one of the biggest things. And I'm going to put you on the spot right now, okay, cutie?
Okay.
So if you talking to someone right now in college, or someone who's thinking about going to college, or someone who is
feeling all those
20 years old,
those
and
terrible
feeling all those
feelings
things
that you just said earlier,
what would be the
advice?
greatest advice that you would want to share with them?
I think, like we've talked about, like really looking at like who the people that you're surrounding yourself with, and kind of like taking a step back and like seeing like are they someone that I'm going to like after I graduate college, am I going to be friends with them? Are they going to like benefit me? Are they going to support me?
Are they adding to my life and multiplying?
Yeah,
as opposed to dividing and subtracting?
Also, like, are they supporting me with like whatever decision I'm making, no matter if it's like a good one or a bad one? I don't know. I think that's important because yes, you can like have friends and you can surround yourself with like great people, but at the end of the day, like let's say you make a mistake, or let's say you do something that they not like aren't necessarily going to agree with, like, are they going to support you no matter
still
what?
gonna love you.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that's very important, because some people could just like, I hate to say this, but drop you if they don't agree with something that,
Right.
or like don't support you. And I just think that that's not someone that you want in your life if they're not going to like be there
Value
for you no
you,
matter
really.
what. Yeah.
Value you as a person,
Yeah.
you know? Yep.
That's good. That's very good. I know. I tell you, growing up in this day and age, it's not for chickens.
Yeah, I
Right.
feel like there's a lot of, I hate to say this, but I feel like there's a lot of like jealousy around, like, especially at least what I've experienced in college.
I
And
think with social media too.
yeah,
that plays a
and just
piece.
like people kind of comparing themselves to one another. And like, I think what people need to realize is what you see on social media and what you see on Instagram is like not necessarily what you're gonna see in person. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, there's
agree.
just
I
so
love
many
that
people
message.
that I've like seen that I meet them in person. I'm like, wow, like, you know what I mean? I'm like, you're so different
Yeah.
than you are on social media. You put up this like whole front, but you're like a completely different person.
Right.
That's what's so sad. So to me, there almost needs to be a movement,
Yeah.
right?
Holly's going to start
There
it.
needs to be a movement for young people to rise up and tell the truth.
Yeah.
Because it's really, a lie. And that's what, for me, is so disheartening for me as an older person, is to look at that and say, oh my gosh, these people are pretending and everybody's buying their press. And it's not empowering. It's making people feel what? Jealous, insecure,
Yeah.
inferior, compare. Women who compete do not connect.
Yeah. I mean,
Always know that.
Right.
Women who compete do
even
not
for
connect.
me, I've had like girls come up to me in my like sorority and be like, I did not expect you to be as like nice of a person as you are, because I don't know, they were like, I've seen your like
you're
social
kind.
media, or
You're
like
very kind.
and people, like, I guess what I post on Instagram isn't like the same as like who I am as a person, like,
Yeah.
and so people are very intimidated by me, they say, because I guess I put off that like
Yeah.
intimidating like
Yeah.
person online, but I'm not.
Yeah.
So I feel like
I think
that's a
that's
good
sweet.
example.
Yeah. I think that's sweet. Well, I love that you came to tell us all the truth. And
Thank you
just
for
kind of
having me.
exposing yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
But I love that you really have found some truth at a young age. It's powerful. So really, your assignment is going to be to give it away.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is to tell a lot of other people. Because when you are pretty and things do work for you, sometimes it's a misconception to other people. So your vulnerability to say that and be comfortable with being alone is really a true sign of you being authentic and true. So I love that.
And transparency is so great.
Yeah,
Because it's
honesty.
freeing, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you, gorgeous. I'm glad you
Thank
came to
you.
share with us today.